Pakistan and India have qualified for the Super Four, as have Bangladesh and Sri Lanka. And the second best team in Asia, Afghanistan, has now gone home. Welcome to the shiny side. I'm your host, Haris. And we have with us a couple of guests. We have Khurram ready to play a paddle tournament, I believe, in the next 30 minutes. And we have from Karachi, Khurram, welcome on the show.
Thanks. Always a pleasure, Chris.
Yeah. And we have Imran joining us from Bahrain. Imran, welcome on board.
Thank you, Haris. Good to be back after a while.
Yeah, so let's just start with, last time we did this show, we were before the Asia Cup. Since then, Pakistan's played 3 games. I think we all know the outcomes. 1-2, lost one of them to India. Khurram, a quick high-level comment. Has the tournament gone like you thought it would so far? And I'm talking about the cricket only.
Predictably so, unfortunately. Yeah,
Yes.
no, predictably so, almost unfortunately, right? I actually didn't, believe it or not, I didn't tune in for the India-Pakistan game. I had a good excuse, but I was kind of happy not tuning in. I felt like this is what was going to happen. Look at, those days of going in, expecting us to compete on an even keel against India are sort of in the rear view mirror. The rest of the games did okay, a few moments of nerves, but sort of took care of business. I'll talk more about the team strategy in a bit.
Yeah.
That's my early sort of thoughts.
So I guess the thing with this tournament now is we haven't learned anything new. We lost to India as expected. We've beaten the 2 associates, and we didn't have Afghanistan, Sri Lanka, or Bangladesh, who might have been a better barometer of where we really stand as a side. If you look at the 3 games we played so far, so against Oman, we scored 160 odd, which is a pass score at best, but do you think Pakistan should do better against Oman, given all the firepower we supposedly have now? And they also, Mo Haris set us up with the 66 of 43. But coming to the India game, I guess, and Khurram, I'll come to you first. So we chose to win the toss, bat first. 7 for 2. Okay, fine. We lost a couple of wickets. It seemed like at 42 for 2 in the power play, we had done some kind of recovery, right? But from there, we only scored 7 in the next 4, and we lost 2 wickets. And I think how you can score 7 runs in the middle of the innings when you have 8 wickets in hand in an ODI alone would be tricky. In a T20, I don't understand how that works.
Yes, so it's interesting. I was Faris, I shared some analysis I was doing on like the tournament before we got on this call. I was looking at basically the number of singles and doubles that each of the teams have taken. And I think the data, it seemed pretty erratic and unpredictable. I think a lot of it is because there were so many minnows involved, right? But what I think we all can agree on in these big games, we just don't see our players taking the singles and doubles that we, the nudges and the pokes to like make sure you're getting 3, 4, 5 and over. It just becomes, all hit or miss. And in fact, there's another analysis done. I think after Afghanistan, our team hits the most big shots, which probably comes as a shock to most Pakistanis. But we also have the lowest control percentage on those big shots, one of the lowest, right? So it just seems like we've forgotten how to nudge the ball around for the 1s and 2s, wait for the bad ball, or try to get like 1, 4 and over. Rather, it's like 4, tooks, and then now you have to go big, and guess what happens then? You get out.
Yeah.
So I think that's exactly what happened. Credit to the Indian spinners, by the way. I think they bowled, and they always do bowl. I think they have the best spinning outfit in the world with all the options that they have, and the pitches are favorable to it too, and our batting lineup is not set up for nudges, right? All of those things. But you've got to expect that the team is resilient enough and can sort of tweak their strategy based on conditions, which I haven't seen in our team so far.
So Imran, the point Khurram made about the Indian quality of spin, right? So at that moment we had Sahabzada Farhan, who's supposedly a spin basher. Then we had Salman Ali Agha, who some say is the best player of spin in the side. And then we had Hassan Nawaz come in, who's also meant to be a hitter of spin. And I understand the bowling is really good, and you can only score like a run a ball in a T20. But scoring 7 and 4, and Imran, a question for you, just that, and also Sahabzada Farhan scored in that day. He scored what, 40 or 44? Is that inning keeping us afloat, Imran, or is that the one bringing us down? How do you rate that inning and the whole approach?
Yeah. So I think if we talk specifically about the innings, I mean, less than a run a ball in a T20 is criminal, right? I mean, I don't want to go down that road, but this is exactly the criticism we faced in the past with Riz Babar, that low strike rates. Now you have people like Sabzada Farhan
I
scoring
mean,
at less than a run a ball. I mean,
to be
that's criminal.
fair, Riz Babar will get roasted for 115, 120 strike rate, not for like 70 and 80.
That's right.
Yeah, true, exactly. That's what I'm saying. Under a runner ball in T20, whatever stage of the game you come into bat, and whoever you are batting against is just not acceptable in today's day and age, right? And I think if I take a step back, right, what have we seen about this Pakistan batting lineup in the Asia Cup and even the Tri Series before this? Struggled to a large extent against the UAE spinners to get them away as well, right?
Yeah.
So Shaheen came in the end and got us some runs, and that helped us win the game. But we are really, really struggling against spin. And I think going back to Khurram's point, there is definitely this need of being able to milk the spinners. They have to go aim for a boundary and over. But if you're not getting that boundary and over, at least you get 7, 8 runs by just getting a few singles and a couple of doubles in there, which we are completely not doing. So you have a very high dot ball percentage. You're not able to get the big shots away. So you're going nowhere, basically. A complete bog down against spin. And that's what's been plaguing us significantly, I think.
Yeah, and India has two mystery spinners, but we lost a third and fourth wicket to Akshar Patel actually. So Kuldeep came in later, but by the time Kuldeep got his wickets, you could argue we were done. 49 for 4, we were pretty much done, I think. But I mean, Khurram, I guess it's a broader approach question. But if you come to a bowling in that game, there isn't much to talk about, right? Because when you're defending such a low score against a side like India, especially when Abhishek Sharma puts on 30 off 12, like the game is done.
Yeah, absolutely. But again, credit to the batting, right? Like, let's reverse the roles here, right? Let's imagine that India had scored what we had scored, and we were going in second. No one would have given us this start. No one would have gone in and taken the bull by the horns and said, "All right, I'm going to score at a 200 strike rate so that any possible pressure is gone." Right? We would have said, "Oh, we have time. Let's play ourselves in." So credit to the batting. I think they put the pressure. There was already sort of pressure, and they just made toast of the entire chase. That's what we need, right? That's why Saibzada Farhan is in the team, to give us those quality starts, not at like a sub-100 strike rate, regardless of the conditions, right?
So Imran, on Khurram's point about the starts, right? So if I show you the power play scores against Oman, we scored 47. Against India, we scored 42, and against UAE, we scored 39. So our trend is actually going in the wrong direction. And again, I don't want to go back to the Riz bar conversation, but why did we move on? So we had bigger power plays. 48 wasn't good enough for us. They would give you 45 easily, but that was never supposed to be good enough for us, right? So, and Imran, so again, power play, and also I have to talk about Agha now. I'm a big fan of Agha. I thought he would be a good captain, and he probably is a good captain. But he scored 3 of 12, Imran, in the last game against India. He scored 20 of 27 yesterday against the UAE. How do you rate that? And
I think the problem here is there's just too much shuffling going on in the batting order, which is, I think, confusing everybody, right? Mohammad Haris is batting at 3 one day and down at 7 the other day, right? Agha is coming in at 3 or 4, then he's going back to 6 or 7. So all of this, I think, is just, okay, maybe you're trying to be innovative and throw the opposition off, but I think you're getting to a point where you're trying to be too creative for your own good. And with this kind of a setup, nobody's sure of what their roles are. When am I going in? What am I doing? And I think that's just taking a toll on the back. Salman Agha himself is a key point. He had a consistent role coming in at 5, 6, getting the spinners on and staying there till the end. Now suddenly decides to come in at 4, I think, in the last game, and tries to take it up from the top of the game, which didn't work for him. Haris drops down, like I said, to 7, which is definitely not a place where Haris should be batting.
So, I fully agree. I actually had a question for you guys, which we haven't discussed at all, related to the toss. Like, in conditions where that there's dew coming in later, right? And chasing is a little bit easier. Ball does swing and seam in the first inning. Why would you choose to bat? Like, would either of you, like, do you think that was a good choice?
Look, the short answer is I probably would have preferred us to chase. Having said that, I think the way we played, you would have lost anyway. But I agree. You're putting us in, I think our best chance of beating India in these conditions, especially, is to try to get them to score 150 or less, put them under pressure, and go that route. But it seems like this side has a general preference for batting first, as if they're Imran Khan side from the 90s for some reason. I'm not sure what the rationale is. Although in T20, across the board, chasing seems to be the preferred choice. I have stats in front of me for the ILT20. In Dubai, it's about 60% side chasing wins, actually. So, yeah. Imran,
Yeah, I think I got to agree with that. Right. So on the toss, Dubai is a chasing ground, and the pitch is going to get easier for batting later on. As we saw, Dew comes in. India is heavily spin reliant. You yourself are heavily spin reliant. So definitely, I would have gone for chasing. Another thing that we haven't talked about as yet is why are we going so spin heavy against India? You have basically one specialist seamer in Shaheen that you're playing, and then you have your part-time spinners making up everything. And especially then you have a low score and you're trying to open the bowling with Saim Ayub. Okay, Saim, yes, he's done well against minnows, but I don't see a Saim being successful opening the bowling against a quality batting lineup like India or England or later on down the line. You need to have Haris and Shaheen both playing the game, which I don't see why Haris was not playing against India.
So Imran, I'll take your question to the next level, which is, what do you guys think of the balance? So Hassan insists on playing 3 specialist bowlers and a bunch of all-rounders. I've come to terms with it. So I personally, in every situation, would probably play 4 specialist bowlers and then have the rest batters. What do you guys make of the balance? Imran first, you, and who the bowlers are comes later. So we talk about which 3. But Imran, you can go first. Do you think the 3 specialist bowlers and all-rounders balance is fine, or do you think we need a 4th bowler in there?
Look, I see the logic in saying you want to extend your batting so you can go bang bang and have a long batting lineup. However, I think 3 specialist bowlers is too few, and also given the way Shaheen has been shaping up with the bat, I think Shaheen has you can have him batting at 8 most likely, right, with another 3 bowlers to come after him. Haris can also hit it around when needed. Okay, then you have 2 complete marks with the bat if you're playing abroad, etc. But with Shaheen and Haris there, I think you can have Shaheen and Haris in 8. So I definitely go in with 4 bowlers and the rest making made up by all rounders. I think 3 bowlers is too few today.
Yeah, I would have to agree. I mean, look, you've got to back your specialist, right? I realize you need a little bit of, optionality. I think Sam gives you a bunch of optionality. Salmanagha gives you a bunch of optionality, right? I mean, I don't think you need to overdo it. You need to really back your best players, and I do agree. I really used to laugh at Shaheen sort of positioning himself as an all-rounder, but frankly speaking, last 2 games, like he's a reason that they even were games. So even UAE could have been a really different ball game if he hadn't come in and clubbed those 6s and gotten a 16 off the last over. So or 18 or whatever it was, and so I would absolutely agree, Faris. But I will say this: I trust in Hassan. Like I really want to give him a shot at building the team that he wants to build, rather than I think we are in Pakistan have this tendency of chopping and changing really way too quickly.
Yeah.
I really want to give this guy a shot. He's got a track record. He's got pedigree. Give him a shot at building what he wants to build without adding unnecessary constraints.
Yeah, I think on the last point on Hassan, I feel like we should give him at least till the World Cup to do whatever the hell he wants, right? At the minimum, right? Because I think clearly he's got the pedigrees. He has a plan in mind. Let's let the plan roll out before we can even try to refine it. And case in point, I was of the view that perhaps Babar should have been in the squad, and I don't want to get into that conversation now. But I didn't think it was a sure shot decision. I would probably have preferred him in, but I can see the other point of view. But I'm like, now that he's not there, let's just try to see how we set up without him. And then, if he comes in at some point, he comes in.
Yeah.
But
sorry, I know Faris, you said you don't want to discuss this, but I still, if I'm Hassan, I go to Babar and I say, you're my first batsman on the 11, but you play at 150 plus.
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter if you fail, but you play at 150 plus. He has the talent to deliver. Just need to set the right target.
I think Bazir made this point, which I really liked. He said we need to stop, and we've done this already on the show, stop referring to Babar and Rizwan as one. If you break it down and look at the data, it is very different. In the last 16 months, Babar's strike rate in ODI, in T20Is is actually 135, which is more than anybody in this tournament, by the way, from Pakistan. And Rizwan is 116. So, it's drastically different. So, and obviously Rizwan has scored more, everything higher. But you need to kind of, regards to ability, even pure numbers tell you a different story. So it shouldn't be a both or nothing, right? It can be a decision on that basis. But so guys, now we have Super 4 coming up. Again, a game against India. I would have preferred playing Sri Lanka or Bangladesh first, but we don't have that option. Imran, how do you line up? What changes do you make? And then how do you go about this game?
So I think I would definitely play Haris, like you said. And if you look at the side that played the last game, like against UAE, I would be inclined to go with that side and look at potentially bringing in another specialist spinner into the mix. But I definitely keep both Haris and Shaheen on.
So you're saying Haris,
So the only
Shaheen,
question is,
Abrar, and bring Sufyan Mukim, but he's the only specialist spinner not in the 11, I
yeah,
guess.
yeah. So that I think that would be probably something to think about. So you bring Sufyan Mukim in as well.
And do you take out Mohammad Nawaz or do you take out a batsman?
I think Nawaz. I mean, because you have the cushion with Salmanagha and Saim Ayub down the line, right? So I think you can afford to take out Nawaz.
So if you take the same 11 as last time, we also played Khurram Shah in the last game. So you also have, if you see that 11, you have Saim, Khurram, and Salman Agha for the fifth baller.
You can take out either of Khurram or Nawaz for Sufyan. Right?
Okay, Khurram, how would you line up for Sunday?
I would, I've been a historical hater of Nawaz, I must confess, but I've seen an improvement. I've seen a considerable improvement under Hassan. His shot selection, his strike rate, even his bowling. So I would actually put Fajl back on the bench and keep Haris and Nawaz and bring back Sufyan Mukim. I think we need the specialist, somewhat of a mystery spinner, and I think Abrar has proven himself. Abrar needs a long run in the team now.
Yeah.
We need to back him. I don't know why he hasn't played more games than he's. I think we're making the same mistake with Sufyan. You play your best 11. Unless conditions are completely ridiculous. But we've seen in all conditions, spinners actually in T20s have better sort of averages and strike rates than fast bowlers. So that's my 11. I don't mess with the batsmen apart from Al-Khursil. Batting order is I'm not sure what they're planning, but I think they need to settle at something now. So I don't know why they moved Haris down, what changed. Back them, right? With this squad, you don't really have that many options. So back them in the positions that you wanted to, and don't mess around for the rest of the tournament.
What you've been doing for the last 3 months, just keep doing it, right? Don't change it now.
Yeah.
That's the thing. Worst case, you'll come out at the end of knowing it didn't work, but just keep doing it. I think on the 11 on the bowlers, my thought is that regardless of where Pakistan's playing right now, I would always have Shaheen, Haris, and Abrar. And then I would add one more specialist bowler, depending on, so in the UAE, that's potentially a spinner. Otherwise, it could also be a fast bowler, depending on where you're playing. And then you have one of Nawaz or Fahim as an all-rounder, and then the rest of the lineup kind of feeds itself. And I think, again, we don't have Abbas Afridi in the squad, which I don't want to get into now. But if you had someone like Afridi who you bring in as a third bowler, then you can also bat a bit, right? So he's not Fahim Ashraf level with the bat, sure, but he's all right. He can hit a couple of sixes. So that's how I would line up. So for tomorrow, I would, same top 7 as the last game, but I would have Haris in for sure. And Fahim out. 4 bowlers: Haris, Shaheen, Sufyan, and Abrar, and then Fahim out for me compared to the last India game. And in terms of Khurram, clearly we all have a view on the toss. That's the way we should go with. Would you say that? Let's look at another way now, Khurram. So, how do you think the Pakistan team will line up against Sri Lanka and Bangladesh at this point, given what you've seen so far? India's India. We know they're a stronger side. They're stronger than most people. How do you think we would compete at the moment against Sri Lanka, Bangladesh?
It's a great question. And I was watching the Afghanistan Sri Lanka game yesterday, and I was impressed with both teams. Right? I mean, sure, we saw Afghanistan beat us 1 out of 3 in the earlier tri-series. And I think Bangladesh also, we've not performed that well against in the recent past. And Sri Lanka is looking very strong. They're looking confident. Their fielding was electric, right? Some of those catches were phenomenal, and they were doing it consistently. So they're not going to be easy games. I think I would still back myself against both those teams. Historically, I don't think we take pressure against them, which helps. I don't think we change much. I really think we should now settle on an 11 and just commit that these are the boys that we're going to play. I mean, sure, Haris had a lot of opportunities. Give them till the end of the tournament now. So, maybe if the conditions change, then the Fahim Nawaz switch, I can understand. No. I suppose if Khurram is bowling, you can throw him into the equation too. But outside that, Haris should be playing every game. Sufyan should be playing every game. Abrar should be playing every game. Shaheen, of course. and tell the entire batting lineup, yeah, go express yourself. Nothing is happening. You're not losing your spot to anyone.
Yeah.
And then I think I would still back ourselves against the other two. India, I mean, I think India is at another level to any other team right now. We may get lucky. I'd much rather get lucky in the final against them.
Imran, so the sequence of events is we play India on Sunday, we play Sri Lanka on Tuesday, and we play Bangladesh on Thursday. And the Sri Lanka game is actually in Abu Dhabi. That'll be our first game in Abu Dhabi. We haven't played there in the last two tournaments. So I guess if we can make the assumption that, you know what, if Pakistan does not manage to beat India, then that Sri Lanka game would kind of be a knockout game for us. So that could potentially be a high pressure game, and potentially that's where we will know exactly where we stand, right?
Yeah, definitely. I think so. It would be a high pressure game, and I feel it will be a challenging game. Yes, we do have a good record against them, like Khurram said. Haven't taken pressure against those teams in the past, but Sri Lanka is playing well. Definitely, they have good hitting power in their batting, especially bowling as well, doing decently as well. So I think it will not be an easy game for us. It will be a tough game, definitely.
Yeah,
definitely be a tough game for us.
Okay, so I guess we'll probably be back at some point before the final. So in terms of predictions of which two teams are making to the final, I think Khurram put his cards on the table where he said he hopes we get lucky in the finals. So Khurram, I take that as your prediction. Okay, Imran, what's your prediction?
If I were a betting man, my prediction might be slightly better, but that's what my heart says.
I mean, so as much as I would love to say Pakistan, I think right now I feel like it's going to be India, Sri Lanka. I hope I'm proven wrong, but I do feel it's going to be India, Sri Lanka right now.
Look, I'm going to answer this in another way, right? So had you asked me a week ago, I would have said, yeah, for sure, India, Pakistan in the final. But I think given how Pakistan's played so far, the Sri Lanka game becomes a bigger question mark than I thought it would a week ago. Yeah, but yeah, I would probably still be in the Khurram camp and back us to kind of finish things off. Guys, before we wrap up the show,
wrong, but
before we wrap up the show, I want to talk about something. So, you know, we're probably the first cricket show in the last 4 days which hasn't spoken about handshake gate so far. So we generally want to stay clear of politics. We as a country, we as a cricket board, I think we've done a fairly decent job trying to do that. But I just want to quickly talk about the sequence of events. So what we do know and what is alleged. So apparently before the India-Pakistan game, Pycroft, which is now confirmed, went to our captain and said, you're not supposed to shake hands with the other captain. When the national anthem for the game played, when they said Pakistan national anthem, instead of the national anthem, a song called Jalebi Baby played for 3 seconds before it was paused, and then the national anthem came on. Moving on, at the end of the game, there was no handshakes. The Indian team went in and shut the door. There was no handshakes. And then in the presser, Surya Kumar Yadav made some comments attributing his win to whoever he did to. So I guess, Khurram, I'll come to you first. Do you think PCB could have done anything differently in all of this? I'm not going to get into what India did. I mean, you can share your thoughts on that, but I think we all know what the answer will be. But what do you make of that? And do you think PCB could have handled this better in any way?
Yeah, I absolutely do. I mean, I think we sort of played right into the hands of the opposition. I think they are doing things with a certain philosophy in mind. And I don't think we need to stoop to the same level. I don't think the match referee had much control over what was going on. Perhaps he could have communicated it better, but I can also put that up to English versus Urdu communication. They didn't really get what he was saying.
Yeah.
It's highly plausible, right? I don't think the match referee had any bad intent. And frankly speaking, I mean, if this was the ACC match referee did something wrong, then maybe we should pull up the ACC president and ask him why that happened and guess who that is. So,
yeah.
I think I really think storm in a teacup. I sort of didn't have any doubt that we would play. I think it was just a lot of like dramatics, and I didn't enjoy it for one. I would love for our team to be our cricket team and our cricket board to be focused on cricket, not politics. We need to be focused to it.
Yeah. Yeah. Before I come to Imran, I was actually a little it was sad for me, but no matter what happened, somehow we managed to keep sport out of it, at least on the field for the most part, right? Like we've seen gone through all kinds of conflicts, and we've seen players have respect for each other, players from both sides, to be fair, right? So I just feel like I was just disappointed, but I feel like something for me, at least, sport that's kind of at a whole different level was tarnished a bit in my view. Imran, how do you see that?
Yeah, I think I got to agree with what both of you are saying. This whole fiasco in the UAE game was uncalled for. I mean, we made a lot of fuss about nothing. Team will not go to the hotel, put the whole thing in uncertainty. Not leave the hotel, not go to the ground. Put the whole thing in uncertainty. In the end, you just started the game an hour later. It didn't serve anything. Supposedly he apologized, but later on said no, he didn't apologize. He clarified his view exactly. I mean, we didn't gain anything out of doing all of that. It would have been not better, just gone into it, played the game, and that's it, right? I mean, focus
And
on the
just one more,
cricket,
yeah.
try to get good results, and let that do the talking.
Just one more thing, right? So I think if PCB wanted to make an issue out of something, they were barking up the wrong tree, right? So there's no legal requirement that the teams need to shake hands. Having said that, there's very clear rules about making political statements. Usman Khwaja was wanting to put a dove on his shoe in a test match and say something like something for peace, and he wasn't allowed to do it because it was meant to be a political statement. So I think on the other hand, we had a captain at a press, well, not even at the presser, but in the post-match ceremony, making some very obviously political things, and there's been no mention from the ICC of any sanction. And in the same breath, I also want to highlight one more thing. There's a lot of ex-cricketers, super Twitter heavy. Anything happens in cricket, they will have something to say. I don't want to put any single people on the spot, but maybe like a Michael Vaughan, Australian, all these guys. People haven't said a word, right? So it's quite clear that people know that, what, my future contracts in the IPL, commentary gigs, trick buzz, etc., etc. So it's amazing how there's not been a peep out of people who would normally talk about the slightest thing, but not a word out of all of these guys.
No doubt, no doubt. I mean, look, I think it's really fairly obvious where the money in cricket comes from. It's where the eyeballs are, and I think people who have not paid attention to that have lost millions of dollars, I would say. So, and like the Pakistani cricket team, consistently, I think they're underpaid compared to the rest of the world because they missed out on the IPL million. So, I do think I'm not surprised that this is the case, and it's the case in any sport and anything, right? So, but it is unfortunate that they get to bend the rules. I don't think that's fair. I would love, I mean, really, like what Usman Khwaja was trying to do, like, was not hurtful. None of I mean, Israel doesn't even care about sports, right? So, I mean, come on. And here you have something that is actually, like two teams that are playing are politically sort of at loggerhead. So, yeah, I do think one has to figure out a way that the rules are applied evenly, and it's a little sad that we don't see that happen.
And again, I don't want to get into the specifics, but there's a lot our captain could have come and said, right, about the actual conflict. Like there's once you throw a shot at me, I could throw 5 back at you, which will land badly, right? So I'm not going to say any of those things, but there's so much that can be said if you want to go down that road, and I hope we don't see that. Even if you win, I hope we don't take that route on Sunday. But
I do hope so.
Yeah. Okay, guys, thank you for being on. Those of you watching, if you have a view on what you think our 11 should be for Sunday, please leave a comment. And we'll be probably back after the Super 4s, hopefully previewing a final with Pakistan in it. In the meantime, stay tuned to the shiny side.